Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum friends. Welcome back to my channel Knowledge Elevation. So today we will learn about prepositions along with its examples, positions and the preposition of place, time, directions along with example, and also the usage of in, on, at, to, from, upon, onto, over and above. So let's start with the definition of preposition. A preposition is a word that shows the relation between a noun or a pronoun. And it also tells you the position that where something lies. The word preposition is made up of two words. Number one, pre, and number two, position. Pre means before a noun or a pronoun, whereas position tells you the position or where something lies. When these two words mingle together, it becomes preposition, the word which is placed before a noun or the word which tells you the position of something is situated before a noun, then it becomes a preposition. For instance, if I say, I am in the class, in this sentence, in is a preposition, whereas the class is a noun. Different prepositions shows different relations. So let's start with the prepositional relationships. So now I'm going to give you a very brief introduction about preposition of place, preposition of time, and preposition of direction. Firstly, preposition of place. Sometimes prepositions tells us where something or someone is. Such prepositions are called as preposition of place. For example, Nikki is standing against a wall. Over here, against, the preposition against shows where Nikki is. So number second is preposition of time. Sometimes the preposition indicates when an event happens or happened. Such prepositions are called as preposition of time. For instance, Ricky swims on Saturdays. Over here in this sentence, preposition on indicates when an event happens. Number third is preposition of direction. It indicates directions in which someone or something comes or goes. Such prepositions are called as preposition of directions. For instance, Nikki is throwing a ball at them. In this sentence, the preposition at indicates direction in which the ball is thrown. Now let's start with the detailed study about preposition of place. So firstly, we will study about on, that where we have to use this preposition on, or in which sentences we use this word. When something is placed on the surface of something, then we have to use on. For instance, the book is placed on the table, or the paper is on the desk. So this sentence means that the book is placed on the surface of table, on top of the table. Similarly, with the second example, that the paper is on my desk, it means that the paper is placed on the surface or on the top of the desk. So over here, the word on is telling you the position that where the book or the paper is present. Secondly, whenever days or dates are coming. Remember, whenever days or dates are coming in a sentence, then we have to use the preposition on. For instance, he will come on Wednesday. Over here, the word on is a preposition and Wednesday is the day. I was born on 14th October. On, over here, it is a preposition. So see, in both of these examples, day and date is mentioned. So it means, hence it is proved that we have to use on because days and dates are mentioned. This is a trick word, so please memorize it. Thirdly, when we have to use on, when you are doing any work on any machine or on any device. For instance, if you are using a phone or you are using a computer, etc., then you have to use the word on. For instance, he is on the phone. It doesn't mean that he is sitting on the phone. Rather, it means that he is talking on the phone. He is using the phone, or he is talking to someone on the phone. Second example is, the show will be telecasted on television. She has been on the computer. This sentence also does not mean that she or the girl is sitting on the computer. No, rather it means that she is using the computer. He is solving the sum on calculator. Hope the usage of on is cleared now. The fourth usage of on is, if anybody's organ is discussed, then we have to use on. For instance, my mother kissed me on my forehead. The ice cream fell on my leg. And the fifth usage of on is that on is also used to indicate the state of something, that how much the thing is on demand. For instance, he has been on bed rest for 2 days. Mango juice is on demand. So these two sentences are indicating the state of something. So let's back towards a brief summary on number 1, that when something is placed on the surface of something or on the top of something, then we have to use on. Secondly, when dates and days are coming in a sentence, then we have to use on. Thirdly, when you are using any device or a machine, then we have to use on. Fourth is, when anybody's organ is discussed in a sentence, then we have to use on. And the fifth one is that when we want to indicate the state of something, then we have to use on. So there are 5 indications of on, or the 5 rules. Coming towards the second preposition, which is onto. The word onto is made from 2 words, on and to. We use onto whenever something is in movement and it comes and sticks on the surface. For instance, the cat jumped onto the table. Move the books onto the shelf. She climbed onto the roof. He stepped down from the train onto the platform. See, in all of these examples, the movement is shown. Something comes and sticks to the surface. For instance, cat jumped onto the table. Cat jumped onto the table. It means that cat comes and sticks on the surface of the table. So there is a trick that when we have to use the preposition on, or where we have to use the preposition onto, because they are sometimes intermingled. So whenever something is still or not in a moving position on the surface, then we have to use the preposition on. Whereas when something is in the movement and comes on the surface, then we use onto. For instance, if I say the books are on the table, it doesn't mean that the book is in the moving position. Rather, it means that the book is in still position. So that's why we have used on. But if I say the cat jumped onto the table, that means that the cat comes and sticks on the surface of the table. So the preposition on tells you the stillness, whereas the preposition onto tells you the movement of something. So this is the basic trick, that how you will distinguish between the 2 prepositions on and onto. So now coming towards the second usage of the preposition onto, when you know the full details of something, then you have to use onto. But this is not a formal detail, rather it is an informal detail or usage. For instance, they knew I was onto their plan. It doesn't mean that I came and sit or sticked onto their plan. No. Rather, it means that they knew I was fully aware of their plan. So over here the word or the preposition onto tells you the awareness. Similarly, the second sentence, he cancelled the surprise party when he came to know that he were on to his surprise. It doesn't mean that he cancelled the surprise party because he came to know that he is sitting on his surprise. No, it doesn't mean that. Rather, it means that he cancelled the surprise party when he came to know that he was fully aware of his surprise. Hope the usage of onto is clear to you now. Let's get back towards a brief summary of onto. Number one, onto is used whenever something is in movement and it comes and sticks on the surface. And secondly, when you know the full details of something, then you have to use the word onto. So basically, onto has two usages that where you have to use this word. Now coming towards the usage of upon. It is made up of two words, up and on. We use upon immediately after using something or something happens. For instance, Jerry got married immediately upon passing out the college. What does this sentence mean? This sentence means that after passing out from the college, he immediately got married. Second sentence is, upon declaration of her result, she rushed towards her mother. What does this sentence mean? This means that she ran towards her mother immediately when her result is declared. The second usage of upon is when something is going to be happen. Then we use upon. For instance, Eid is almost upon us. This sentence doesn't mean that Eid is on our heads. No. Rather, it means that Eid is very near to us. Or it means that the Eid festival or event that is very near to come. Secondly, our exams will soon be upon us. It means that the exams are very near to give. Thirdly, his payments is going to be due upon us. So in all of these examples, we have used upon. And remember, when on is written in a sentence and we want to use it in a formal manner or more formal manner, then we have to replace on with the verbs and add upon. We do not use on with the verbs given below. Rather, we have to use upon instead of using on. Okay, we have to replace on with these verbs: depend, congratulate, experience, happen, insists. We should not use on with these verbs. Rather, we have to use upon with these verbs. For instance, my whole future depended upon your decision. See, this sentence is very formal. That's why we have used it upon. Number two, they congratulated him upon his success. So these sentences are more formal. The third usage of upon is we have to add upon between two nouns. One noun is more important than another noun. Then we have to use upon. For instance, he has worked hard year upon year. See, in this sentence, this is a noun, year, and this is also a noun. See, over here in this first noun, in the previous year, I worked hard, but in the next year, I worked a lot. So in the first year, I worked a lot, but in the next year, I worked more. One noun is more important than the other. One noun is more important than the other. We crossed further, mile upon mile. In this sentence, mile is a noun, and over here, mile is another noun. So between 2 miles, we have used the preposition upon. So in this sentence, mile is more important than the other one. 1 mile is a noun. Mile is more important than the other noun. That's why we have used the word upon. The fourth usage is whenever something is in movement. Same as onto. Remember that we have learned in the other preposition which is onto that when something is in movement, then we have to use onto. Similarly, when there is something in movement, then we have to use upon, but there is a slight difference between it. For example, we were put upon this earth for a purpose. Secondly, he fell upon the ground. Hope the usage of upon is clear to you now. Let's get a small summary about it. Number 1, upon is used immediately after doing something or something happens. Number 2, when something is going to be happen, then we have to use upon. Thirdly, we have to add upon between two nouns. And fourth, when something is in movement. Coming towards the second prepositional relationship, which is preposition of time. So the preposition indicates when an event happens or happened. Such prepositions are called as preposition of time. It tells you when an event happens or happened. Always remember two things in your mind: the clock and the calendar. The clock and the calendar. The clock tells us about the hours, it tells us about the minutes, and it also tells us about the seconds. Whereas calendars tells us about the years, months, days, and dates. So this is a very easy concept. When there is hours, minutes, and seconds are mentioned in a sentence, then automatically you have to use at before the noun. Remember, whenever there is hours, minutes, or seconds are mentioned, then you have to use at. Similarly, if a sentence contains years and months, then you have to use in. While if there is days and dates are mentioned, then you have to use on. Let's come towards examples. I go to school -7 o'clock. See, this is the time mentioned. So we have to use at. I will meet you at 2 o'clock. So it means that we have to use at before the time. Secondly, for example, Pakistan got the independence -1947. So 1947 is the year. So what comes into your mind? That it's a calendar. So we have to use in because there is a year mentioned. My exams were held in the month of June. Over here the month is mentioned, so we have to use in over here. Third example is, I will meet you on Sunday. Sunday is the day, so automatically we have to use on. My birthday is -14th October. So date is mentioned, so automatically we have to use on over here. So these are very, very simple.